Embrace the unknown. Life is unpredictable. No matter how carefully you plan, there will always be moments where the future is uncertain. Most people fear these moments. They hesitate, unsure of what lies ahead, and often choose to stay in their comfort zones. But the truth is, the most extraordinary changes in life happen when you embrace the unknown, step forward without guarantees, and trust that the journey will lead you somewhere meaningful. When Steve Jobs dropped out of college, he didn't have a clear roadmap for what was next. He didn't know how things would turn out. But by following his curiosity rather than a rigid structure, he discovered calligraphy, something that had no practical use at the time but later influenced the typography of the first Macintosh computer. This decision, made in uncertainty, ended up shaping modern digital fonts and user interfaces. It proves that embracing the unknown doesn't mean being reckless. It means being open to new experiences, trusting your instincts, and allowing life to unfold in ways you can't predict. Most people are wired to avoid uncertainty. Society teaches us to stick to safe paths. Get a degree, find a stable job, follow a predictable routine. While there is nothing wrong with stability, it often limits growth. The world's greatest innovators, creators, and leaders didn't achieve greatness by following a well-lit path. They stepped into the dark, took risks, and discovered something entirely new. It is only by stepping beyond what is familiar that we open doors to new opportunities, new skills, and new possibilities. Fear is the biggest barrier to embracing the unknown. It's natural to worry about failure, rejection, or making the wrong choice. But fear is often just a sign that you're about to do something meaningful. If you let fear stop you, you'll never know what's possible. Think about the moments in your life when you felt the most alive, the most excited. Chances are those moments happened when you took a leap of faith. Whether it was starting a new job, moving to a new place, or saying yes to an opportunity that scared you. Those are the moments that shape your life, and they only happen when you're willing to step outside your comfort zone. One of the most powerful lessons in embracing the unknown is that you don't need to have everything figured out. Society often pressures us to have a perfect plan, but the reality is, plans change. The world is constantly evolving, and so are you. What matters is not having all the answers, but having the courage to take the next step. Sometimes that step will lead to success, and sometimes it will lead to failure. But even failures provide valuable lessons, redirecting you towards something even better. When you look at the most significant breakthroughs in history, they were never made by people who played it safe. They were made by those who dared to venture into the unknown. The Wright brothers didn't know for sure if their flying machine would work, but they tried anyway. Thomas Edison didn't know how many attempts it would take to invent the light bulb, but he kept going. Steve Jobs didn't know if Apple would survive when he first started it in a garage, but he pursued his vision with relentless passion. Every great achievement begins with uncertainty. Life is a series of choices, and each choice comes with some level of uncertainty. But instead of fearing it, you can choose to see uncertainty as an opportunity. Every new challenge is a doorway to something greater. Every risk you take is a chance to grow, to learn, to evolve. When you embrace the unknown, you stop waiting for the perfect moment and start creating it. Ultimately, the most successful and fulfilled people are not the ones who avoid uncertainty, but the ones who embrace it. They trust in their ability to figure things out along the way. They understand that even when things don't go as planned, something valuable will come from the experience. If you want to truly change your life, start by embracing the unknown. Take the leap, trust yourself, and believe that whatever happens, you are capable of navigating it. Because in the end, the most incredible opportunities, the most transformative experiences, and the most life-changing moments all begin where certainty ends. Failure is a new beginning. Failure is often seen as the end of the road, a sign that something went wrong and that all efforts were wasted. But in reality, failure is not the opposite of success. It is part of the process. Every great achievement, every revolutionary idea, and every successful individual has faced failure at some point. The difference between those who succeed and those who don't is how they respond to it. Instead of seeing failure as a defeat, the most accomplished people see it as a new beginning, an opportunity to grow, learn, and come back even stronger. One of the most powerful examples of this truth is the story of Steve Jobs himself. At 30 years old, he was fired from Apple, the very company he founded. Imagine what that felt like. He had built something from the ground up, poured his heart and soul into it, and then was pushed out of his own creation. For many, such a public and personal failure would have been the end. But for Jobs, it was the start of something new. Instead of giving up, he took the setback as an opportunity to reinvent himself. He founded Next, a company that developed advanced computer technology. He also acquired Pixar, which went on to revolutionize the animation industry and create some of the most beloved films in history. Years later, Apple bought Next, bringing Jobs back into the company. The very failure that seemed like the worst thing to ever happen to him turned out to be the best thing, because it allowed him to approach Apple with fresh ideas, ultimately leading to the creation of the iPhone, iPod, and MacBook. Devices that changed the world. Failure is painful, but it is also revealing. It strips away the unnecessary and forces you to focus on what truly matters. When things fall apart, you are left with a choice. Either let failure define you, or use it as fuel to push forward. The greatest lessons in life often come from the hardest moments. Each setback teaches resilience, creativity, and the ability to adapt. Without failure, there would be no growth. The fear of failure stops many people from even trying. They stay in their comfort zones, choosing safety over potential. But in doing so, they miss out on the very experiences that could lead them to success. If you never take risks, you will never truly know what you are capable of achieving. Some of the greatest minds in history failed repeatedly before they found success. Thomas Edison made thousands of unsuccessful attempts before inventing the light bulb. Walt Disney was told he lacked imagination before creating a global empire. Oprah Winfrey was fired from her first television job. These stories prove that failure is not the end. It is simply a step on the journey to greatness. The key to handling failure is to shift your perspective. Instead of seeing it as a personal shortcoming, see it as a learning experience. Every mistake holds valuable lessons. When you fail, ask yourself, what can I learn from this? How can I improve? What can I do differently next time? The most successful people are not those who avoid failure, but those who use it as a stepping stone towards something better. It is also important to understand that failure is not permanent. No single setback defines your entire life. It may feel overwhelming in the moment, but time brings new opportunities. The world does not end when you fail. It simply presents another chance to try again. Many people let one failure discourage them so much that they give up entirely. But what if they were just one step away from success? What if their next attempt would have been the breakthrough they needed? The only way to find out is to keep going. Failure also builds character. It teaches humility, patience, and the importance of perseverance. When everything goes smoothly, there is little motivation to change or improve. But when challenges arise, they push you to dig deeper, think differently, and develop new strengths. Every obstacle is an opportunity in disguise. Those who embrace failure as part of the process are the ones who ultimately rise above it. At its core, failure is a test of commitment. How badly do you want something? Are you willing to endure setbacks, criticism, and disappointment to achieve your goals? Those who succeed are not necessarily the most talented or the luckiest. They are the ones who refuse to quit. They understand that the road to success is not a straight path. It is filled with ups and downs, victories and defeats. But each failure brings them one step closer to their ultimate goal. In the end, failure is only a failure if you let it be. If you use it as motivation, as a lesson, as a turning point, then it becomes something else entirely. It becomes a new beginning. Life is not about avoiding mistakes, but about learning from them and moving forward with greater wisdom and strength. The sooner you embrace this mindset, the sooner you will unlock your true potential. Because success is not about never falling. It is about always getting back up. Time is limited. Live boldly. Every single person has the same 24 hours in a day, yet the way those hours are used defines the course of a life. Time is the most valuable resource because once it is gone, it can never be reclaimed. Many people live as if they have an unlimited supply of it, delaying their dreams, postponing their ambitions, and waiting for the so-called perfect moment. But the reality is, there is no perfect moment. There is only now. The sooner one realizes that time is finite, the sooner they can begin to live fully, with purpose and urgency. One of the most profound realizations anyone can have is understanding that death is inevitable. This is not meant to be depressing, rather it is meant to be liberating. When Steve Jobs was diagnosed with cancer, he gained a deeper awareness of time. He often spoke about how knowing he would die one day gave him the clarity to focus only on what truly mattered. He stopped worrying about the opinions of others, about the fear of failure, and about societal expectations. Instead, he focused on what he loved, what inspired him, and what made a real impact. The awareness of death did not paralyze him. It freed him. Most people spend too much of their time on things that do not truly matter. They stay in jobs they hate, maintain relationships that drain them, and hesitate to take risks because they fear the unknown. They assume they have time to fix things later, to pursue their dreams eventually, or to live differently someday. But someday is never guaranteed. The only time to act is now. The people who make the most of life understand that every day is an opportunity. They do not wait for the future to be different. They create the future through their choices today. Living boldly means making decisions based on passion and purpose rather than fear. Many people make choices to avoid discomfort rather than to chase excitement. They take the safe route, believing that security is the ultimate goal. But security is an illusion. Life is unpredictable, and the only real security comes from knowing that no matter what happens, you are living true to yourself. When people look back on their lives, they rarely regret the risks they took. Instead, they regret the chances they never pursued, the dreams they let die, and the experiences they never allowed themselves to have. It is important to ask, if today were the last day of your life, would you be doing what you are about to do? If the answer is no too many days in a row, something needs to change. This simple question forces people to evaluate their priorities. Are they spending time with the people they love? Are they working on something meaningful? Are they creating memories, pushing boundaries, and growing as individuals? If not, then they are merely existing rather than truly living. The difference between a life well lived and a life wasted is the willingness to act on what truly matters. Fear is often the greatest obstacle to living boldly. Fear of failure, rejection, or making the wrong choice holds people back from pursuing their biggest dreams. But fear is just an emotion. It is not reality. The most successful and fulfilled people do not live without fear. They simply refuse to let it control them. They understand that discomfort is part of growth, and that taking risks is necessary to achieve anything worthwhile. Playing it safe may feel comfortable, but it rarely leads to greatness. The people who change the world are those who dare to take action, despite uncertainty. Another key aspect of making the most of time is learning to say no. Many people fill their schedules with obligations that do not align with their true priorities. They say yes to things out of guilt or pressure, leaving little room for what truly excites them. Living boldly requires the ability to protect one's time, to focus on what truly matters, and to eliminate distractions that do not contribute to personal growth or happiness. Every minute spent on something unimportant is a minute taken away from something that could be life-changing. The reality is, life moves quickly. One day turns into the next, and before long, years have passed. The biggest mistake people make is assuming they have more time than they actually do. The best way to avoid regret is to act now. Make the decision, start the project, have the conversation, take the trip, say the words, chase the dream. Nothing is ever promised, and waiting for the right moment only leads to missed opportunities. Ultimately, the purpose of understanding the value of time is not to create panic, but to create urgency. Not the kind of urgency that leads to stress, but the kind that leads to action. A deep internal realization that life is happening right now, in this very moment, and that every choice matters. Those who grasp this truth are the ones who truly live. They create, they explore, they innovate, and they leave a legacy that inspires others to do the same. Time is limited, but what is done with that time is limitless. The only question is whether one chooses to use it wisely. Passion leads to purpose. Passion is the fuel that drives people to achieve extraordinary things. It is the force that makes work feel like play, that pushes individuals to keep going even when the odds are against them. Passion is not just a feeling, it is a calling, an internal voice that says, this is what you were meant to do, When people follow their passion, they find a deeper sense of purpose, a reason to wake up every morning excited and ready to create, build, and contribute something meaningful to the world. Many people go through life without discovering their true passion because they never take the time to explore, to experiment, or to ask themselves what truly excites them. Society often teaches people to prioritize security over passion, to choose careers based on stability rather than interest. But the problem with this approach is that without passion, work becomes routine, and life begins to feel empty. People who chase stability without considering what makes them feel alive often end up feeling trapped, stuck in jobs or lifestyles that do not fulfill them. They wake up every day, go through the motions, and wonder why they feel unfulfilled. Steve Jobs was a firm believer in the power of passion. He often said that the only way to do great work is to love what you do. He knew from personal experience that passion was the key to resilience. Building Apple was not easy. There were failures, setbacks, and moments when everything seemed to be falling apart. But because he was deeply passionate about his vision, he never gave up. When he was fired from Apple, he could have walked away from the industry altogether. Instead, his love for innovation and technology drove him to start again, founding Next and Pixar, which eventually led him back to Apple. His passion was stronger than his failures, and that made all the difference. Passion is what separates those who simply work from those who create, innovate, and inspire. It is what turns an idea into a movement, a product into a revolution. When people are passionate about something, they do not settle for mediocrity. They push boundaries, challenge norms, and refuse to accept anything less than excellence. Passionate people do not need external motivation because their drive comes from within. They work tirelessly, not because they have to, but because they want to. But finding passion is not always straightforward. It is not something that appears overnight. It requires curiosity, exploration, and sometimes even failure. Many people give up too soon, thinking that if they do not immediately know their passion, they must not have one. But passion is discovered through action. It is found in trying new things, in stepping outside of comfort zones, in paying attention to what excites and energizes them. The most passionate people in the world did not always start that way. They discovered their passion by doing, by experimenting, by following what intrigued them until they found something they could not stop thinking about. One of the biggest obstacles to following passion is fear. Fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of the unknown. Many people know what they love, but hesitate to pursue it because they worry about what others will think or whether they will succeed. But passion and fear often go hand in hand. The things people are most passionate about are often the things that scare them the most because they matter deeply. The key is to push through the fear and take the first step. Those who wait until they feel completely ready may wait forever. Passion requires action, and action requires courage. Another challenge is the misconception that passion alone is enough. Passion is essential, but it must be combined with effort, discipline, and perseverance. Loving something is not enough. One must be willing to put in the work, to improve, to refine skills, to push through difficulties. The most successful people are not just passionate, they are also relentless. They do not quit when things get hard. They understand that passion is what gets them started, but persistence is what keeps them going. Living with passion does not mean every moment is exciting or that challenges do not exist. It means that even on the hardest days, there is a sense of purpose that makes the struggle worth it. It means waking up with a reason to keep going, knowing that the work being done is meaningful and fulfilling. It means looking back at life with no regrets, knowing that time was spent doing something truly worthwhile. Ultimately, passion is not just about career choices. It is about how life is lived. It is about bringing enthusiasm, creativity, and dedication to everything, whether it is work, relationships, or personal growth. It is about refusing to settle for a life that feels ordinary and instead chasing something that feels extraordinary. Passion is the foundation of a life well lived, and when it is followed, it always leads to something greater. Purpose. Stay hungry, stay foolish. The world belongs to those who never stop learning, growing, and pushing the limits of what is possible. The moment someone believes they have reached the peak of their potential is the moment they start to decline. The most successful and fulfilled people are those who remain hungry, hungry for knowledge, for improvement, for new experiences. They refuse to settle, knowing that there is always more to discover, more to create, and more to achieve. They stay foolish in the sense that they are not afraid to take risks, to try new things, and to challenge conventional thinking. They understand that growth only happens when they step outside of their comfort zones. People often fall into the trap of complacency. They achieve a certain level of success, comfort, or stability, and stop pushing forward. They assume that what worked in the past will continue to work in the future. But the world is constantly evolving, and those who stop learning and adapting are left behind. True success is not about reaching a final destination, it is about continuous progress. Those who stay hungry never stop asking questions, never stop seeking new opportunities, and never stop improving themselves. They understand that life is a journey, not a fixed path. The greatest innovators and leaders in history shared this mindset. Steve Jobs himself embodied the philosophy of staying hungry and foolish. He was never satisfied with what he had already accomplished. Even after launching groundbreaking products, he continued to push the boundaries of technology, design, and user experience. He was willing to take risks, even when others doubted him. When Apple introduced the iPhone, many experts believed it was a mistake. Yet he ignored conventional wisdom and changed the world. He was hungry enough to pursue ambitious ideas and foolish enough to believe they were possible. Staying hungry means never losing curiosity. The most creative and successful people approach life with the mindset of a beginner, always eager to learn and experiment. They do not assume they know everything. Instead, they actively seek new knowledge, challenge their own beliefs, and remain open to different perspectives. They read, explore, travel, and engage with people from diverse backgrounds. They understand that every experience, no matter how small, has something to teach them. This constant pursuit of growth keeps them sharp, adaptable, and ahead of the curve. Staying foolish means embracing failure as part of the journey. Many people avoid taking risks because they fear looking foolish. They hesitate to try something new because they worry about making mistakes or being judged. But those who achieve great things understand that failure is not something to be feared, it is something to be embraced. Every failure brings valuable lessons, insights, and new opportunities. The most successful people in the world are not the ones who never fail. They are the ones who fail, learn, and keep moving forward. Children embody the essence of staying foolish. They are curious, fearless, and willing to try new things without worrying about failure. They ask endless questions, experiment without hesitation, and dream without limits. But as people grow older, they become more cautious, more afraid of looking silly, more resistant to change. They start following rules, sticking to routines, and avoiding risks. The most extraordinary individuals are those who never lose that childlike sense of wonder and playfulness. They approach life with excitement, unafraid of the unknown, willing to explore new possibilities. Complacency is the enemy of progress. The moment someone believes they have all the answers, they stop growing. The moment they become satisfied with their achievements, they lose the drive to reach new heights. True success requires a mindset of continuous learning, of always striving for something greater. It requires the willingness to ask, what's next? How can I improve? What new challenges can I take on? Those who stay hungry and foolish never stop evolving, and because of that, they leave a lasting impact on the world. Society often rewards those who follow safe conventional paths. But history is shaped by those who dared to be different. The greatest breakthroughs, the most revolutionary ideas, and the most inspiring stories come from individuals who refused to settle. They were hungry enough to chase bold ideas and foolish enough to believe in the impossible. They saw obstacles as opportunities, failures as lessons, and risks as necessary steps toward greatness. The choice to stay hungry and foolish is a lifelong commitment. It is a promise to never stop learning, never stop growing, and never stop challenging the status quo. It is about embracing uncertainty, taking risks, and believing in possibilities that others might dismiss. It is about pursuing dreams with relentless passion, knowing that the greatest achievements come from those who dare to think differently. The world is full of opportunities for those who are bold enough to chase them. Those who stay hungry and foolish will always find ways to innovate, to inspire, and to leave a mark that lasts beyond their lifetime. Connecting the dots life is unpredictable. The events that happen today may not make sense at the moment, but looking back, patterns begin to emerge. Every experience, every challenge, and every decision plays a role in shaping the future, even if it is not immediately clear how. The key is to trust that the dots will connect, even when the path ahead is uncertainty. Many people struggle with uncertainty, wanting to have every detail of their lives planned out in advance. But the reality is, no one can predict the future with certainty. The most successful and fulfilled individuals are those who learn to embrace the unknown, to take risks, and to trust their instincts, even when the outcome is unclear. Steve Jobs famously spoke about connecting the dots in his Stanford commencement speech. When he dropped out of college, he had no idea what his future would hold. He took a calligraphy class simply because he was curious and fascinated by beautiful typography. At the time, it seemed like an unrelated and even useless skill. But years later, when designing the first Macintosh computer, that knowledge became invaluable. The Mac was the first computer with beautiful fonts, something that set it apart and later influenced the entire industry. At the time, he could not see how calligraphy would shape his future, but looking back, the dots connected perfectly. This principle applies to everyone. There are moments in life that seem confusing, setbacks that feel discouraging, and detours that appear meaningless. But often those very experiences are preparing the way for something greater. The challenge is that people want to see the full picture before taking action. They hesitate to follow their passions or take risks because they do not see a clear and guaranteed outcome. But if they trust their instincts and pursue what excites them, the connections will reveal themselves in time. Many people avoid taking unconventional paths because they fear failure. They want certainty, structure, and guarantees. But certainty is an illusion. Some of the most successful people in the world started without a clear roadmap. They followed their curiosity, explored new interests, and took risks that did not always make logical sense at the time. But by trusting themselves and continuing forward, they eventually found success in ways they could not have planned. The lesson is that people do not need to have everything figured out to move forward. They just need to trust that the dots will connect in the future. Fear of making the wrong decision often paralyzes people. They hesitate to change careers, start a new project, or take a leap of faith because they worry it might be a mistake. But the truth is, even so-called mistakes play a role in shaping the future. Every experience teaches something valuable. Even failures provide lessons that can lead to success down the road. Instead of fearing uncertainty, people should embrace it. Taking action, even without knowing the outcome, is what leads to growth and discovery. Following intuition plays a crucial role in this process. Logic and planning are important, but some of the biggest opportunities come from listening to that inner voice that says, "This feels right." Many of the greatest innovations and breakthroughs did not come from following a carefully designed plan. They came from people who trusted their instincts, even when the world told them they were wrong. Passion and intuition often lead people in directions they never expected, but end up being exactly where they need to be. Patience is another key aspect of connecting the dots. People often want instant results, immediate clarity, and quick success. But meaningful achievements take time. The dots do not always connect right away. Sometimes it takes years before certain experiences reveal their true purpose. The challenge is to keep moving forward, even when things do not make sense yet. Over time, patterns emerge, lessons become clear, and a once confusing journey begins to make perfect sense. Looking back, everyone can find moments where an unexpected event led to something great. A rejection that felt like a failure at the time might have pushed someone toward a better opportunity. A setback that seemed frustrating might have taught an important lesson. A random encounter might have introduced someone to a life-changing connection. These moments are proof that even when things seem uncertain, they are all part of a bigger picture. Ultimately, trusting that the dots will connect is about having faith in the journey. It is about following curiosity, taking risks, and believing that every step has a purpose, even if it is not immediately visible. It is about embracing uncertainty instead of fearing it, knowing that life has a way of working itself out. Those who trust the process, stay open to new possibilities, and follow their passions will always find that in the end, the dots connect in ways they never could have imagined.